Well, I'm recording. 2023 Campfire chat. Wow.
Whoa.
Is it spilling? What?
Yeah, cheers to that.
Cheers.
It just like exploded.
I'll drink to that.
Well, that's what drinking a fizzy drink will get you. Now I'm all sticky.
You shouldn't have shaken it up.
I absolutely didn't. I didn't at all. Maybe Phoebe did.
Maybe. She got mad at you.
Yeah. For
While
leaving
you were
her.
distracted, she shook it.
Yep.
I'm gonna buy a little baby ice cube. It's going away.
You were a good one.
It kind of worked.
I'm really glad to hear that.
It was a whole skull. Better than a skull hole.
Should have taken a photo for evidence.
I will. I'll get one.
Yes, listener, you're hearing that right. Christian had a skull in his drink tonight.
Oh, you're starting the episode now?
Sure.
All right, sweet.
Just seemed like an appropriate thing to tell them.
I was waiting on you to wake up.
I'm awake.
Yeah, Kaylin got me a super dope Christmas gift. Okay, a holiday gift.
Sure, okay.
We just want to be inclusive.
You got me a bunch of dope stuff too. Don't sell yourself short.
We did. We exchanged the expected. What's the word I'm looking for?
Annual
Standard procedure. I don't know. Business as usual. I can't think of the word. This is
saying?
This is what happens when I can't edit out the things that we get wrong. Because
There's nothing to get
super
wrong.
minimal.
There's no script.
Yeah, editing episode.
It's supposed to be anyway.
It's supposed to be.
Maybe not at this rate.
But you guys can hear how dumb we are. Or me specifically.
No, me too.
Anyway, the obligatory.
Obligatory.
The obligatory gifts that people give each other this time of year. And Kaylin got me these super dope whiskey rocks that are in the shape of skulls. They're not rocks. They're ice
molds.
Molds. It's an ice mold. Not moldy ice.
That's different.
Lord have mercy. Oh, when I took mulled wine to my Thanksgiving with my sister's husband's family.
Right. Oh, yeah. You told me about
They
this.
thought it was mulled wine.
What?
I couldn't tell if they were joking because people were like, I'm not drinking that.
They're
And I was
joking,
like,
right?
Well, they also don't really drink.
True.
Either. I was like, here's all this super alcoholic deliciousness. And they all had some. I was shocked. Couldn't believe it.
Mulled wine. It's because we're Southern.
Mulled wine. Y'all want to drink some mulled wine, y'all? My name's Whiskey Christian.
My name's White Claw Kaylin.
My name, White Claw.
I hate that.
Oh, God. That's how our nicknames are invented. Skull Rock Whiskey Christian.
That's better.
No, Whiskey Skull Rock Christian.
Okay.
It's like double nicknames before my actual first
I don't
name.
even I never really had, we've talked about this before. I've never really had a nickname per se. Most people just call me Kaylin.
Do you want one right now?
I mean, I'm scared
We've
to say
already
yes.
established that once we cover, I forget what episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark, but you're going to be called Boss Hag.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we did talk about
Kaylin
that.
Boss Hag
But I mean,
Andrews.
that's not really a nickname. That's more like a title.
Oh, right. No,
different,
yeah,
huh?
that's your title here at That's Pretty Dark Podcast
I'm Boss Hag.
Network.
Yeah.
Which also, we need a network name for whenever
Yeah, we don't have a
multiple
network
podcasts.
name, but when we make all of the other podcasts we're going to make.
I'm for sure going to make some. I just don't
Oh,
know
I
what
know.
name to call
You've
it.
talked about it forever. Speaking of that, I guess we could kick off with a little story time
We could do that.
if you want to.
Okay, so we have some rough bullet points and emphasis on the rough,
Mm-hmm.
okay? We don't really know what we're going to do. This is our second annual.
Second annual
Our first
Fireside Campfire Chat.
This is the first actual annual event because we did it for the first time last year. So was that the first?
It does bother people when you
This
say
is the
first
second
annual when it's the first one you've ever done. So, but it's still the second one we've done. So I think
All
we
right.
get credit for this first one and get
Second
to say
annual
second annual.
New Year's campfire chat between us besties on That's Pretty Dark and all of you besties listening to us besties.
That's right.
Talk about our lives. It's super stripped down. There's no real plan besides our bullet points. And think of this like an acoustic set if we were a band.
Sure.
This is our super intimate. Everyone's sitting down, including us.
We just wanted to hang out with you guys to kick off a new year.
Right. So part of this is some listener questions that we asked for. And we got them.
Yeah.
We got a few that we think are going to be pretty easy to answer.
Yeah. And especially
On the
just, I don't know that we've fully talked about a lot of these. So
I think if we have, we've cut it.
probably so.
Just for time. And for content.
Sure. But somebody had asked us how this podcast came to be. Like how we,
Right.
I guess, came up with the idea for the podcast and started a podcast together.
Yeah. That's a valid question.
I guess we could just start at the very beginning.
Well, it was 1991.
Not
No,
that
probably
beginning.
should go back before 1990. I was conceived. How far back do we go?
I think we could just go back to when we met.
Oh,
Because we've done creative things together for a long time. And we've
We have.
mentioned things off and on throughout the episodes in the past year and a half. But if you haven't heard, we could just tell that story really quick.
yeah.
For anyone that's interested. The person that asked
Hey.
the question, maybe.
You take it away. Have fun with it.
Oh, God.
Embellish a little.
Sure.
Hold
I have
back
to
in
make
other
you sound way
places.
better than you were. No, I'm kidding. Christian
No,
and
yeah, that's
I,
kind of the idea.
me and Christian, we met on the set of a web series that I was directing. Myself, and two of my friends one from high school, one from college, were creating a web series 7 years ago
God.
now,
Yeah.
and or maybe longer. And
Oof.
Christian was a friend of a friend's friend who was doing our audio.
Yeah.
And he came in to audition for one of the lead roles, and so that's how I actually met him. I was conducting the auditions, and he came into the
And I
room.
just friggin' nailed it.
He did. He nailed it.
friggin-
He was the
friggin'
character. We had no
nailed it.
reservations. We wanted him for the part right away, and everything since then, as they say, is history.
And I was looking up at a panel, I guess panel,
Sure.
of 3 of the tiniest females I've ever seen in my entire
We
life.
are, strangely, yeah.
All three of you
us
are so
like less
small.
than 100 pounds, especially
Yeah.
back then.
Back when we were all children.
Back when we were kids, not really kids.
Yeah.
I was 20. I was early.
But
20s.
we, I was, I don't know, 23, 24 at that point.
Yeah, and so we met doing that, and once we did that, we just found that we worked together creatively really well.
We think
So-
very similarly.
Yeah, we have very similar thought
Had a lot in
processes,
common.
and we ended up making a movie together, a feature film. And that was
Yeah.
really fun because I directed that, and Christian also acted in that, and he produced it and edited and a million other things for that movie. But that was really fun.
Still
and
doing the
difficult.
edit sometimes.
Yeah, still in progress.
Still in post-production. Which is where most
Post-production,
projects go to die, but not ours.
Not ours. It will live again one day.
Damn it.
It will
Yep.
live again.
Just like Marley.
Just like Marley. So we made the movie together. But all throughout this time, we had off and on, Christian had mentioned that he wanted to start a podcast, or like he had thought about starting a podcast, and we kind of had bounced things around. And during this
Yeah.
time frame, we had worked with some other people that were making movies, so we were both producing on movies and doing other things in film. And I had desperately wanted to create a documentary about the dark things from our childhood, our millennial childhood. That was something that I was really passionate about, and I was like, it would make a great documentary. I would just have to get I would need a lot of resources to make that happen, right? Like I would need money that I didn't have, and contacts.
That thing.
But it was just something that had lived in the back of my mind for years before that.
I'm not sure I was fully aware of that,
Really?
to be honest with you.
I told you, but
this feels new to me.
It went in and out. Like I feel like we talked about.
I just know
different
my side of it
concepts.
because I was always like, I had like 2 other podcast ideas with other people.
You did, yeah.
And then that never happened. And it will, I think, eventually. But and a third I wanted to do by myself. And then
You can imagine that, ladies and gentlemen, a one-man show.
hey,
Days
well,
and Bones.
it's one of those scripted, like narrated type things where
Sure.
you it's a true crime. It's true crime. I just tell the story. But lots of interviews. But yeah. And then somewhere in there we got to talking about it, and I remember one time I was like, I want to do a podcast. Would you want to do one? And you're like, thanks for asking me last of everybody.
Yeah, because he had talked
'Cause
to
I
me
was talking to
about
other
who he
people.
wanted to do podcasts with, and that he was going to do podcasts.
I was like, we write other stuff together. I was like, do we want to also do another creative thing together? And like,
Right. Like, are we at our limit before we kill each other?
yeah, it's like, at what point do you hit the ceiling?
We
of
didn't
what
know.
your friendship potential is?
We didn't know yet.
And,
We had to find
yeah.
out.
We had to find out. We always have to find out.
And find
Always
out we
poke
did.
The big scary looking thing and find out what it is.
Yeah, and that's what we did.
But
so from that point, I had this idea for a documentary, and we came together. We had a really great conversation one night. I remember in your living room that you've referenced before, talking about...
referenced it at the top of Dark Origins of Children's Programming.
Yeah.
Our very first
like our
episode.
Early episode.
Yeah.
But we had a conversation about
Great
those
conversation.
the darkness that we remember from our childhood.
Like where it came
and
from and all
the
that.
sociological impact of it, like of different
Yeah.
things and how it all related back to us being afraid of everything. Basically.
Yeah.
But we had like a 2-hour conversation about it, and from then on I think we both were like, this could be a podcast. Like
This could be
it
a
really
podcast,
could.
for sure. Yeah.
And lo and behold,
We were talking about
here we are.
We were talking about just doing an Are You Afraid of the Dark rewatch podcast, but there are already a bunch of those out there, and they're
Yeah.
all
Good ones.
They're all good in their own way. And so we didn't want to just be another version of the same thing.
Yeah.
We thought we'd branch out and cover a broad spectrum of topics.
We
that
wanted to
all
give
fit into the
ourselves
same
room.
category. Yeah, right.
And I
right,
think
right.
that that's already coming in handy. You know, a year
think
and
so.
a half in, I think we're already getting to a point where we're finding, like, I really enjoy doing the movie night episodes. You've done a lot of really cool book reports and like history based episodes. So we're kind of
Yeah.
figuring out what we like, and we're also figuring out better ways to present the information to you guys. Hopefully you can
Yeah.
tell that it's improved.
We always talk about the unique ways we're going to do an episode, and I don't know that anybody ever notices.
Probably not. It may
But we're
all
always
sound
like,
the same.
Okay, this time I'm going to do it like this, just so you know what to expect. And,
Yeah, we give a lot of disclaimers.
it's fun. It's really fun.
But it is fun, yeah, and I feel like we've learned a lot about the things that we've always wanted to learn about through this podcast. So that's what I think is cool.
Dude, I can't even tell you the number of ways, like, all of my creative endeavors have crisscrossed
Yeah.
while doing the podcast. All the research and stuff that I've been doing for different stories and podcast research, giving me the inspiration or the idea for another story entirely. Because that's also a huge part of my personal life, is writing stories. That's kind of, I've always wanted to be a novelist, an author. So all these things converging and crossing over each other has just been, if nothing else, this has been super worth it.
Yeah, I think
Like
so.
if we were done like next month,
Which we aren't, listener. Don't worry.
well, we're not. We're gonna keep going. But my God, it's already been worth it. Like, it's already paid off for me in a personal way.
Yeah. me
Not to
too.
mention how great it's been to, like, whatever, be friends and like all that
Oh,
sappy
yeah.
stuff.
All
and,
that
like,
sappy
whatever, and just
stuff.
all the-
No, I think so. And I would have had, like, I feel like when I present this stuff to Christian, I know, hopefully, listener, that you've enjoyed it and you've appreciated it over the year. But whenever I had, like, thoughts like this, or if I wanted to explore things like this, Christian's always, like, the first person I want to tell about something like this, because he's like, oh my God, a liminal space. Oh my God. Like, I didn't know that about, any of these number of things that we talk about. Like, he cares
Yeah.
as much as I care. And so it's been fun for me because I get excited to tell him about the stuff that I know he's going to appreciate.
Yeah, we were already having these conversations anyway.
Exactly.
The joke was like, just record it,
Yeah,
Like,
just record it. Being neurodivergent, though, like learning about my ADHD and I know I say it all the time, but it's because I'm finding reasons why I do the shit that I do and have done all my life. So it's just
Yeah.
bringing clarity to me as a person. But being so neurodivergent, there's like, sometimes you want to like info dump on people and tell them all this cool stuff that you found out about this thing or this movie, and like no one, in your life, like daily life, really cares. But then I get to come here and tell
Yeah.
somebody that I know cares, and you guys get to pick it up and listen to it, and we know you care because you've told us that too. And that's
Yep.
been so rewarding for me, to just have like an outlet or a place to go with that stuff and have people care about it. I think it's really
honestly,
cool.
yeah. Or you're like me and you talk about it on dates. Or with other friends who don't care, but then you're like,
I try. Yeah,
I've been
I try to
talking
talk
about
it
this
and-
for way too long now.
Yeah,
I'm
and
gonna stop.
no one else is as interested as me. So
That's right.
I'm gonna read those social cues and pick a new topic.
Which is so funny. This was the first bullet point I had. This is how I was going to open this episode.
Oh,
Was it's a perfect segue.
perfect. Okay.
So I've been rewatching Friends.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if you're not a Friends person, you can at least appreciate my point I'm
I
about to
hope you
make.
can, man.
But I just recently watched the one where Joey's trying to repel his new roommate because she's super hot.
Yes.
And they don't want to have like a roommate and mix them up kind of deal. So Ross and Chandler are giving him tips on how to repel women because they're really good at it. And Chandler starts giving Ross shit about how he goes to parties and talks to girls about the Irish potato famine. And I have actively been researching the Irish potato famine.
Yes, you have.
Since COVID.
A
for
while.
a couple years now. I bought multiple books.
You guys have heard this. This isn't news if you're listening.
I've talked about it
This is not
before.
news to you.
But my God.
That's
and I
great.
just, that was the thing I had. I was just going to say, I'm in a weird place in my life. Because,
Because you just realized you have something in common with Ross Geller.
yeah, I don't want to have anything in common with Ross Geller. And I do. And it's that I will corner a person who will listen and talk about the Irish potato famine
Yeah.
and how devastating it was. But hey, now we know it plays a huge part in the history of Halloween. So that's just one example of how, well, I'm researching the famine for a novel.
It's one example of how
That's just one of the ways in which,
crossover for you.
these endeavors have been crossing over. And it's pretty cool.
That's
I think it's
great.
pretty cool.
I'm sorry, though, to hear that you're like Ross.
I think that was before like the whole nerdy is cool, like nerdy is the new hot, or
Yeah.
smart is the new hot
Yeah.
movement happened in the past like 10, 15 years. That was back in the 90s, so the towers were still standing, so the world was a different place.
It was. People valued different things. You're right.
Yeah.
I just want to watch Friends now. You just like all my. You derail. I'm in an Office rewatch phase right now, like
Right.
I am, perpetually. But
That makes sense. We have we should do a new Zoom,
oh yeah, you're right. I saw
unfortunately.
that. Okay. I had already left the previous one, but then it popped up with yours, and it still said leave and join. Like I was still in
Oh, weird.
one.
I was just too fast for you.
Yeah. Quick draw.
Yeah, for the sake of being meta and breaking down the fourth wall, our Zoom just died, so we had to start a new one.
Yeah, we're still zooming each other when we do these. We don't
don't
have
pay
the
for
software,
Zoom.
Yeah, that we pay for.
Because they changed their
So
rule.
there's always a countdown,
Yeah.
and that's why sometimes you'll hear in the episode we'll quickly try to get through a point because we know the Zoom's gonna die and we need to just start a new Zoom. That's why you're hearing a behind the scenes look
One
at what
day we'll
goes
pay
on.
for Zoom.
One day.
It's just dumb.
Today's not that day.
Not today. So you've you've had a. I'm conferring with my notes here. You've had a hell of a time
I've had a hell of a time
this year.
Yes.
We started doing this last year because Kaylin had some medical.
Yes, we did
scares
the New
last
Year's Day chat last year, the New Year's chat last year, because we didn't have an episode prepared because I had been incapacitated, really. And
Truly.
I had promised myself and Christian and everyone around me that I was not going to do it again. And then lo and behold, I had doctor's appointments in December that became procedures and scary things. And
Yeah.
I once again was waiting for like a biopsy on like around Christmas. It was just awful. So I don't know why that's happened to me twice in a row.
The craziest thing is, we think the events of this time last year, we think that's had a direct effect on some of your current issues.
Yes,
some of your
we sure
current
do
scares.
because I was bleeding profusely. That was my. Once I had the biopsy, I was bleeding. You probably remember. Christian discussed it in the chat last time.
Was a bit too vulgar about that.
No,
but
no. I mean, it's a medical thing. It was happening to me, and it was awful. But because of that, I've been anemic this whole year. So I have an iron deficiency, which is pretty difficult to treat depending on your body and how you absorb iron and stuff. And I've also had just like a lot of different issues over the past year. But I'm learning that low iron can cause nerve problems.
Yep.
It can cause TMJ problems, which I've dealt with for the first time in my life. So there are a lot of things that it's related to. So I'm just really pissed at that one doctor from last year because if they had just done the procedure properly, I probably wouldn't have had any of these problems.
Right.
So really great.
So fun.
Really great. But yeah, so I had the procedure 2 weeks ago now, almost, which is crazy. But I had to be put under and everything. And so they don't legally let you drive when you leave if you get sedated at the hospital. For anyone that doesn't know. And so my parents actually took me home to their house, which I grew up in from the time I was like 10.
The childhood home.
The childhood home.
And isn't that all of
somewhat.
our greatest fears? To wake up
in your
in our
childhood,
home in
I have
the
dreams
bedroom.
like that a lot, and it was very trippy to go there after that because I was very out of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, they laid me up in my former room, and so I was there recovering from my procedure. And my dad had gone, he was going to bring me like a ginger ale, and he had gone out for a while, and he came back in, and he said that he'd gone to the mailbox, and in the middle of the road was a big black dog.
Yeah.
Just standing there in the road staring at him. A dog he said he had never seen before. So
That's a
in
big
my-
old dam right there.
in the
It's a
state
big
that I was
ol'
in,
no.
I was like, what? A big black, like I was freaked out. I was like, it was, you know, and I said, what happened? He said that he told it to go home, and it turned around and walked away. And I was
And
like,
you guys, if you've been listening for a while, we've talked about how black animals, especially black dogs, are omens of death.
yeah, and unfairly
And-
treated because of it.
They're bad news.
They're good news because they're animals and they're precious. But the omen,
If they're real. If it's a spirit.
if they're real. But
If it's a spirit,
I was
it's
pretty
not.
spooked when he told me that because I was laying there like, you know, having just been sedated, come home from the hospital, waiting on biopsies that may change my life. Everything was negative, by the way, thank goodness. But
Yeah, you're totally fine.
yeah, totally fine now. But it was just like a process to get there, and still having symptoms that I now I don't have diagnosed, but I have that peace of mind at least that it's not these certain things they were able to test for. But in that moment, I was like, this
Right.
black dog is a signal that either I'm going to die or, you know, something bad's going to happen. So I
Yeah.
immediately texted Christian, and I was like, you would not believe what just happened at my parents' house.
It was freaky. You know, knowing who I am, I should have been more concerned, but I was
Yeah,
like,
you
I cannot
should've.
wait to talk about this on the podcast.
You
I
better
knew you
survive
were
it
fine.
because we got to talk about it on the podcast. Man,
I knew you were fine.
We're talking. It's pretty dark on That's Pretty Dark. Sorry, y'all.
Well, hey.
We hope we make it through 2023 and beyond, and we're excited for it.
Yeah.
But you know,
This is the time of self-reflection. What is it? The season of, is it what's it, Capricorn?
yes, Capricorn season.
This is the time of reflection.
Yep, we're entering a
Ponderings.
new year, a new
Mm-hmm.
state of being.
Speaking of being alive versus dying in a season of contemplation and life versus death,
Oh yeah,
if you listened to our Halloween series, you know that I don't enjoy being pranked.
he doesn't,
I got pranked.
and he was
This
freaked
year.
out, y'all.
I was a little freaked out.
Like he was afraid.
Hey, look, we don't talk about how afraid I was.
Sure, we do. That's all we talk about.
I already told Luke it wasn't a big deal. So my friend Luke pranked me, and we had just put out, I think, part 2 of our Halloween series. So halfway through October, almost halfway, I wake up one morning, and there is a black envelope on my front porch. And it has this really cryptic symbol on the front. I still don't know what that is, but it's sealed
You need to tell us what that is, Luke.
with some red wax in the shape of like a bee.
It looks legit.
There are these 2 stamps on the back that are like in the shape of bees. So he's going real Candyman with it. Mm-hmm. Not to mention, on top of it, there was a dead bee just lying freely on top of the envelope, which was my first indicator that it wasn't Luke. Because he's very like environmentally friendly. I don't think he murdered this bee. I think he probably just found it.
Yeah.
But still.
Still.
So there's a dead insect on top of this envelope.
So when he's finding this, he texts me a picture of what was on his porch.
Yeah, I took a picture in case I died and the police needed to know how I died.
And he asked me if I did it.
Well, I didn't think it was you, but we had just had a friend
Oh, that's true.
message both of us and ask us for our home addresses. And I was like, that was like a week or so before.
Yep.
And Becca, what's up?
Hey, Becca.
Send us whatever gift you were going to send us. You never did. And she was like, oh, we want to send you something. And then I got this letter like a couple weeks later, and I was like, hey, did you get an envelope?
That's right. And I was like, I haven't checked my mailbox. What do you mean? He was like, no, this was on my porch.
Yeah, and it was just this black cardboard paper with silver writing on it, and I'm going to read what it says. And keep in mind, we had just talked about Samhain and the ancient Celts, and how Samhain, like, what, quote unquote, isn't a god of death, and like it wasn't this like celebration of death.
We were living in a world of folklore at the time that this was discovered.
And I had talked a lot about how Valency was incorrect because he had written about how Samhain was another name for Balsab, and he was the god of death, and like all this crazy stuff, and like that's why we think Halloween's so evil, or like why certain religious groups think that Halloween is evil. And anyway, this letter was written to correct me of my wrongs. So it says, if I can read it, Luke, I'm sorry, your handwriting was just really hard. It's all mashed together.
You know not what ground you tread. You have awoken my gaze. Samhain bespoke echoes of a threshold that mortals cross without sight. Valency erred in truth, but not in name. For I have many, but none among them Balsab, Osiris, Yama? Means Dilly, Quaid, Razi. I can't read those. Though you err in your path, you are correct in one measure. The veil between your world and mine grows thin. Exhume my grounds and unleash the shadows that separate our worlds. Beware, mortal, for the infinite lacks mercy, and death shall approach on rapid wings.
Pretty weird note to have just show up on your doorstep.
Yeah, I was freaked out. I really was.
He was, y'all. He was like, he was ready to call somebody.
You were like,
He was,
what is it Luke?
and that was
there's
my
no way in hell it's Luke.
listener. You heard it here first. My
It was
immediate thought. I said, "Was it Luke?" And he said, "No way, it was Luke." And I was like,
It was
"Sounds
Luke.
like Luke to me."
And he was so Luke, you're very sweet. It was very fun. I was freaked out, but also I had just watched The Watcher.
Oh,
On Netflix.
That's right. Yes, me too. At the
Which
time.
is all about a family who moves into a new home and they start receiving threatening letters in the mail
They do.
about a guy who's obsessed with them and their house. Mm-hmm. I was watching it the night that Luke, at midnight, left it on my porch.
crazy.
And then the next day I wake up to a letter.
So the headspace that you were in, it was just.
So I was especially freaked out.
Yeah.
Because I was like, this is unreal.
He did it at exactly
This is
the right
not real
moment.
life. This cannot be happening. I was like, oh no. And then I seriously was like, I've been digging too deep. Mm-hmm. I've been going too deep on this podcast. Mm-hmm. I gotta dial it back. They're listening. Oh my God, they're listening.
They're listening. I
was freaked. I was freaked out.
It's scary.
But it was a fun prank. It was a good prank.
Yeah, clearly it worked, Luke. So good job.
Poor Luke. He was like, was it too much?
Oh,
Did it go too far?
then you felt bad.
I was like, no. No.
Should I hit you with another listener question while we're?
Let's do it.
Chatting?
Let's break it up. There are no rules.
Okay, I have a couple that both have to do with Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Okay.
So
Are You Afraid of the Dark?
We were each asked what our favorite episode is of Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Oh. Is not what we've covered so far. It's
They didn't
all of them?
specify, but we could say it either way, I think.
Well, I can tell you my favorite season 2 episode is The Shiny Red Bicycle.
Yeah, I need that.
Wow. But for season 1, do you have a favorite season 1 episode?
Probably the dark music.
Oh, yeah?
I think that would be my favorite in season 1. But I will say that even
Not
the
Prom
episodes
Queen?
that I didn't... Oh, Prom Queen, too. Duh. Prom Queen. I forget.
I was
like,
like,
I don't
you
even
talked
count
about
it
that one
'cause it's
forever.
Prom Queen would be my favorite from season 1. But dark music would be the second favorite. I'll say that. Because my very favorite episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark, I don't think is until, like, season 3 or 4.
Yeah.
It's The Tale of the Dream Girl.
Okay. Right. You have talked about that
Which is
one
very
also.
similar to The Tale of the Prom Queen. But that's my all-time favorite episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Mm-hmm.
I like how you knew my favorite episode of season 1. You're like, you're wrong. I was just thinking of ones like that I covered. And it was interesting to learn about the dark music and like also just to see how far they pushed it, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. It's tough because I'm trying to separate the research
from the episode
recording from the episode.
Right. Yeah.
So
we're
we
not
have multiple
we're not being
layers.
asked what our favorite episode of our podcast is.
That's true.
That
That's
would
true. That's true.
probably
That's
be
true.
very different.
I do like the Nightly Neighbors a lot.
I would have guessed Nightly Neighbors for you. You had a lot to say in that episode.
Well, yeah.
Well, related to that, we were also asked what our favorite episode music is, or soundtrack, because we know they were all pretty different.
Oh, yeah. Do you know yours?
I mean, he worked with so many talented, like, musicians throughout the series, and, like, each episode had its own, like, crafted music. The one that I remember was not from season 1.
Oh, really?
The one that I remember is The Tale of Station 109.1.
Oh, okay.
That one I remember. I just remember being very unsettled by it, and I know it had a lot to do. Was it music
on the radio?
There were moments of music on the radio, and I just think it had. I remember being especially put off by that episode.
Huh.
Also, obviously, Prom Queen.
Right.
Because I love a good doo-wop. Doesn't really matter the context. I'm a fan of doo-wop music and the haunting qualities therein.
If we're talking about, like, score created for the episode, I'd have to say Pinball Wizard, because it's all that 8-bit.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, it's very unique and it's very tailored to the episode.
That's a good answer. Good answer.
I think we both have really good answers.
I don't know about that. We could take that one step further, and we could just say what our favorite thing has been to cover so far.
Ooh.
Just as we're using this as a little bit of a time capsule. So, in the years, we can go back and just see how we felt in the cusp of 2023.
That's so hard because everything is unique. In my mind, it's its own time capsule.
It is.
Like, every time we dedicate a lot of time and we put out a good episode, that's my new favorite episode.
Same here.
So it's really hard to say, like, what's my favorite thing, because it's the next thing we do is always my favorite thing.
That's a good answer. I like that.
I'm just going to go sappy. When in doubt,
sap it out.
Ooh, when in doubt, sap it out. Freaking pine trees, you and me.
I go back and forth. Like, I change my mind. Because we do put a whole lot of time and effort. You don't see 80% of what goes into an episode, just the research.
We spend a lot of time.
We spend a lot of our time doing this because we enjoy it, but we hope that you also enjoy it. But one of the things that I think I really liked diving into this year was Labyrinth.
Yeah, okay.
Because not to say, like, pretty much everything that we've covered, it made me appreciate that thing more. Just learning about what went into it obviously is always gonna, like, increase the value of that thing.
Yeah.
But Labyrinth always meant so much to me as a kid, and so to revisit it and to learn how much it means as an adult now and looking back at it with new eyes, that's probably my favorite that we've looked back at.
Nice.
I think. Just because it had a whole lot of meaning that I didn't even realize to begin with.
Right, it was already a big deal to you in your life, and then you learned so much more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like we've talked more about things that I remember from my childhood than from yours so far. Maybe in 2023 we'll get into more of your childhood stuff.
Well, I mean, we did the Goonies series, though.
We did do that.
I think that might be the one for me. Like, the whole, like, this was a huge part of my childhood, and then we learned a whole lot about it, and we recorded a podcast about it.
Yeah.
That, for me, that's the Goonies.
So, do we want to talk a little bit about what's coming in 2023? Am I skipping a bunch of notes that you had? I like how you're like, I have notes. I'm gonna be able to keep us on track, and then I'm like, let me lead this episode real quick for no good reason at all.
Yeah, let's talk about next year's stuff.
Okay. I know we announced it recently, but in case, listener, you did not hear, the season binge of choice that's coming up is going to be Courage the Cowardly Dog. And we are both super pumped and super afraid. I'm personally terrified to rewatch it. Because
I'm not scared about the content of the show. I'm scared about having enough research and background for
I know it's gonna be interesting, but I think there is enough strange lore that might lead us down some fun rabbit holes. And who knows, this season binge might not take us as long as the Are You Afraid of the Dark one did, but
that's true.
Either way, I think it's going to be interesting to revisit it because I think it traumatized a lot of people. It's one of those shows that, like, you go back to it and you can't believe they put that on TV for kids. So
that part is true.
I'm interested to see where that takes us, for sure.
I'm excited about it. Worst case, it doesn't give us enough content for the show. It could be bonus content.
Yeah.
For our potential
Patreon.
that we've been talking about maybe doing for a long time now.
We have. But we've
been flirting with
we
it.
have plans. If you would be interested in that, I know it's a lot to ask to have you come and tell us, but we'd love to hear from you anyway on, our Gmail, that's prettydarkpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Or any of our socials, Instagram, Facebook. Just let us know that you'd be interested in that, and we will stop being scared and actually open our Patreon.
We're just so self-deprecating. We're like, will anybody even care about
Yeah,
this?
will anybody want to be here?
Does anybody even want extra content?
Because we have
The
content.
show is already
but-
free,
Right.
and it'll stay free.
Sure.
But, we can give you some extra fun stuff for like $3 a month.
Yeah, just let us know if that's something that you would like.
And if we had a Patreon, what would you want?
Yeah, what kind of stuff do you like to see on Patreon if you subscribe to them?
We mostly have stuff that we've cut from other episodes.
Yeah.
That was just
Side tangents. Like,
It's interesting stuff.
if you
that
can
just
imagine, listener,
couldn't-
Christian and I can go on a tangent.
We can go on a tangent.
We sure can.
And I'm like,
and
I'll
we
cut that,
sometimes
I'll
we
cut
don't come
that.
back.
Sometimes we have to just go, well, all right, let's take a break.
For example, we had told each other and ourselves that this episode would be 20 to 30 minutes long. We've already recorded over an hour.
Oh, no. Remember, we talked for a long time before.
We did. That's true. You never know what's going to happen on That's Pretty Dark.
Yeah.
Well, do you have goals?
Goals for the next year?
Do you have goals that you personally want to achieve?
No.
Okay, just checking.
Start a Patreon
Okay,
and get enough listeners that we get a sponsor.
nice. That's a good
I
goal.
want advertising.
Which that means, in order for us to continue and make more content, if you guys would share it with your friends, if you feel like it's good enough to do that, then that really helps us. If you share it on your social, if you share it,
Yeah.
amongst your peeps in your group chat, that's super helpful to us.
Mm-hmm.
Every single download is helpful to us.
Every single one.
I think my goal last year was just not to die, and so I've totally achieved
That
that.
may have been your goal, yeah.
I did it.
You've achieved that.
I made it.
But you never really got past
Feeling like
the
I was going to die.
previous
I didn't.
thing.
So I guess I'll just renew that again.
I mean, you're not going to die.
Well,
But so we released this last year, and then on New Year's Day you went to the ER because
I
it
did. I
got
went to
way
the ER
worse.
after we released this, which is crazy.
It got way worse.
So I really hope that after recording, I don't get worse this time.
But no, it won't this time.
Yeah.
But I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, I had a weird year, you guys. I had a very strange, odd year. But I personally, like I said, I've learned a lot about myself, about my mental health, and who I am. And the ADHD that I have doesn't define me.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've learned a lot. I've learned how to coexist and deal with my ADHD in a way that I feel less miserable a little bit than I did before. Mostly just because I know that I'm not the only one. I know that I'm not alone. And that has
Right.
been very helpful to me throughout the last year.
I have found that is actually one of the most helpful things.
Yeah, just knowing
my
somebody else
life.
is going through it. And that's why we're sitting here, listener. If you're wondering why you just listened to us talk about nothing, it's because
Absolutely
you don't want to be
nothing.
alone either, deep down at your core. And we're here to remind you that you're not. At the end of the day, we're all here to heal from something. We're all here to learn, hopefully. Recognize that we are all different and we're all coming to the table with what we have. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
We have what we have, and we're doing the best we can. And if everybody just does the best they can, the world's a better place.
Wow. That's so upbeat. Man, that's so positive.
So not like me at all.
Oh, man. I don't even know who you are anymore. That's great. Beautiful words.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody has said them before. It's not just me,
Oh.
but
Another resolution is finish the second draft of my novel.
that's a good resolution, yeah.
And maybe get a book published.
That'd
That would
be
also
great.
be really, really freaking great.
Yeah. Everybody
this year.
cheer Christian on. If you listen to this, if you hear this, cheer Christian
God,
on.
that'd
in
be
his
so
pursuit.
nice. Wouldn't it be good?
That'd be
You
even
could
better
read-
than money, I think.
You could read me in almost 400 to 500 pages of just words.
Wouldn't you love that?
Me talking.
I've told him for years. You have good things to say, and I'm ready for you to say them. I think it's gonna be great.
I don't know anything about anything. Just the Irish potato famine.
That's your specialty. The Irish potato
all
famine.
It's all I've been researching, besides everything else we've covered on this podcast.
I've done more research in this last year for our podcast than I did in 4 years of college, probably.
Same.
Crazy.
I've also cared more and paid way more attention
Same.
than 4 years of college.
Same.
It's so sad that we live in a, culture now where college almost means nothing, like high
I know.
school.
Yeah. Doesn't really matter. Everything's made up. The points don't matter.
Maybe I'll do an audiobook,
Oh, nice. That'd be cool.
ladies.
I would love for you to do an audiobook. That'd be so fun. Ladies.
Well, that's all I got for this 2023 Campfire Chat.
Welcome 2023. I'm not going to make any big declarations because we all know how that goes. But I do hope that 2023 is better for you at least than 2022 was.
That's all we can hope
We are
for.
always so grateful for you listening and commenting, subscribing, all of those things that we're really bad at asking you to do, but some of you do it anyway, which is amazing.
Super great.
So
We love it.
if you don't mind, maybe just for us, for our holiday gift, for our New Year's gift,
Ooh.
if you would just share us with one friend that might enjoy the content that you enjoy. And it will, a bonus, it's not just for our benefit because it'll give you guys something to talk about, which is so fun because that's one of my favorite pastimes is talking with people about podcasts that I listen to. So if you're at all like me,
it is a good time. Yeah.
I think you can have some fun with it. So it's not just for our benefit. But we
Yeah.
love you. We're here for you. We know that this is a tough time of year. We know, people are getting ready, going back into the grind, very quickly this year. Nobody wanted to chill out this week, which bothered me deeply. The world is,
Yes.
late-stage capitalism is moving us along at a much faster pace than we are designed, biologically to be moving. So if you don't want to be moving at that pace, you're not alone. It's not your fault. And good luck and Godspeed because I don't know how to fix it.
We should be hibernating right now.
We should be hibernating right now. But we're glad that you're listening to us in any case.
Yeah. Always remember that time is a construct and the past isn't real.
Yeah, also true.
That's all I've got.
We're here now in the present, so
We're here now.
we appreciate you and we would just want to wish you a very safe, healthy, happy new year
Absolutely we do.
in 2023.
Keep it real. Be safe. Don't drink too much.
Yeah, all those things.
Take it easy. And we'll see you guys next
And
year.
we'll be back very soon, with part 2 of Pinocchio.
Yeah, I've been working on that a whole lot this week. So
Thanks, Christian.
good.
Thanks. Oh, yeah, we didn't say that, but thank you so much for all that you've done editing and all the work that you put into the show this year.
thank you, Editing Christian.
Thank you, editing Christian.
He's the real hero.
He
You're
is.
the real hero.
We're just sitting here,
bro.
just running our mouths.
We sit here and we gab,
we gab,
and we
and
talk.
he hates us.
and he's smoking cigarettes and drinking whiskey and just damn it, I hate these two.
Yeah, he's a whole different
God,
dude.
I wish they'd never met.
Sorry,
No.
editing Christian.
He's all right. He's okay.
For now,
He saves all the extra fun bonus stuff that doesn't make it to the episode. He's keeping
he is
it.
keeping it for a rainy day.
It's for payback. It's blackmail.
Yeah, he's got. Editing Christian has so much on me. I can't.
I have
cross
all
him.
the things that you can't say on the air. Tonight, we
You
have
sure
something
do.
tonight that you can't
sure
say on
do.
the air.
Editing Christian, man. I hope
I
you
have
like
all-
me.
Ooh, I have all the power.
You always have.
Oh my
this
God.
is not news to you.
I also have all the things that I can't say on the air.
So you can blackmail yourself.
It's a double-edged sword. Ooh, maybe I'll treat myself. And I'll punish myself. And then I'll treat myself.
Yeah. You can do all those things.
But mostly I'll punish myself with more work.
You just
Great.
you just did a whole Dwight Schrute impersonation in front of my face.
2023, let's go.
Let's go.
I'm going to finish that off with, let's go.
Oh, please don't.
Let's go.
He just has to pee. He's trying to get off the phone.
I have to pee so bad. Let's get off the air.
Okay. Bye,
Happy
guys.
2023, everybody. Just be glad it's not 2022. Just be glad it's not 2021. And thank the gods above it's not 2020.
What's weird is that we're 3 years from 2020.
I cannot believe time moves so quickly.
Makes no sense.
I have to go before time moves even faster. And my bladder. All right. See you guys later.
Bye.
Be sweet. Be precious. We love you. Say what's up. We'll see you guys next year.
Bye.
Bye.